down on our backs, and we're gonna have our strap, okay? So just have your strap near you for now. Lie down on your back and just let your body settle. So this is the part of the class where we're just arriving. We're just feeling what it's like to be on a yoga mat and to make that transition from the way our mind normally operates to the type of awareness that is required for a yoga practice. And what that awareness is called the witness perspective. So we're witnessing everything that is occurring in our body-mind space, yeah? We're witnessing any thoughts, emotions, feelings, or sensations that arise, but we're trying not to get too swept up into any of them. We're just taking a moment here to observe, how did we show up this 4th day of January on this yoga mat? Where's your mind? How busy? How calm? How easy is it for you to surrender your body into the floor? And once you've observed these things, start to pay attention to your breath. So there's no need to manipulate your breath at this moment. Just observe it. How is it? Is it deep? Is it shallow? Is it choppy? Is it smooth? You're practicing right now being a witness to yourself. And then slowly allow your breath to just get a little deeper and a little fuller. So you feel a 3-dimensional expansion on your inhale breath all across your torso. And you feel how everything draws back in towards the center on your exhale breath. So as you breathe like this, you're just identifying where is the center of the cylinder of your torso. Good. And then just take a moment and hug your knees in towards your chest. Let your knees kind of move externally, like towards the side edges of your mat, so they're a little wider. And just allow your lower back to settle in, breathing into the space of your lower back. It's amazing how we don't really feel anything there until we start to bring our breath there, and then we realize there's a consciousness there. Even if it's not pain, there's a sensation, there's a capacity to feel something in how the breath is interacting with the muscles that are actually on stretch right now. Good, so okay, release your knees and grab a hold of your strap. I think this is everybody's favorite way to start. You're gonna wrap the strap around the center of your right heel, and your left knee can be bent, the sole of your foot down on your mat, or it can be straight. So you evaluate. If you're straightening it, you're gonna roll the inner thigh down towards the floor. And then walk your hands up the strap far enough that your arm bones are plugged right into your shoulder sockets and there's not really any tension, right? And then see if you can activate your foot. So reach through the ball of your right foot, flex your toes back towards your face, and at the same time you're doing that, imagine your right sitting bone is turning just inwardly, just the slightest amount, to face the left arch, the arch of your left foot. Now, can you make your legs both grow a little bit longer while keeping your arm bones plugged into your hip sockets? You stretch the inseam of your left leg forward if it is in fact straight. If it's bent, just root the foot down into the floor. And you keep drawing that right sitting bone forward. as you imagine your right leg growing longer. Good, now pass the strap, both sides of the strap, into your right hand. Place your left hand on the top of your left hip. Externally rotate your right thigh so you'll see your inner knee. And then start to bring your right leg out towards the right without your pelvis moving. So we're going to do this standing as well. So we want to make sure that the pelvis isn't going for the rise. That's why you're pressing down your left hip. And then it's simply your thigh bone externally rotating in your hip socket. So breathe into the shape for a few rounds of breath. You're a witness. What are you observing? Good, and then take your leg back up to the top, pass the strap into your left hand, extend your right arm out to the right, and slowly let your right leg magnetize down towards the floor. You might gaze towards your right arm. Place your awareness in your right shoulder blade. See if you can glue it down into the floor. The more fully you breathe, the more sensation and consciousness and awareness and intelligence is available to you. Good, so slowly make your way back up to the top. Put the strap in both hands and lift the left leg up so that the left foot joins the right. And you'll notice they feel a little bit different. So just hold it in the double for a moment. Think of spinning both inner thighs towards the front of your mat so your legs are active. And as you do that, guess what? You start to activate the lowest part of your belly. And that's important. So we want to make sure we're always instructing those inner thighs to spin in the direction that activates our pelvic floor. So slide your right leg out, put your right foot down on the mat, either the sole of the foot, whichever you want, or slide your leg out to straight. And if you slid it to straight, remember you want to glue that right inner thigh down into the floor. And then notice where your arms are. Is there any tension? Is there any tension in your gripping? Is there any tension in your face? Now you can imagine your left sitting bone was shining out towards the front left corner of your mat, and you were gently trying to get it to shine towards the center of the front of your mat, so more closer to the inseam of your right leg. And then see if you can make your left leg grow longer. If your right leg is straight, see if you can make your right leg grow longer. Relaxing through your upper shoulders, relaxing any tension in your jaw. Good, and then pass the strap into your left hand. Place your right hand on the front of your right hip. Externally rotate so you'll see your inner left knee, and then start to draw your left leg out towards the sides. You're doing this with intelligence and awareness, and the sides might feel different. Like I have a very different sensation on this side than I had on my first side. So rather than judge it, just send your breath into any sensations that you feel. And oftentimes we observe that things shift and change gradually, which is basically teaching us how to be patient in life, how to not react. Stay with your breath, and then bring your strap back up to the center, pass it to your right hand. Maybe extend the left arm out to the left and gaze toward in that direction as you take your twist over towards the right hand side. Glue your left shoulder blade down into the floor. Imagine that your left foot could reach as far in the opposite direction from your left hand as possible. So you're elongating. Yeah, good. See that? Awesome. And then bring your leg back up to the center, observing any sensations that happen along the way. And then add your right foot to the strap. So now you have both legs up towards the ceiling. The strap is around the center of the heels. Good. And then remove the strap and just bend your knees into a tabletop position. So your knees are stacked over your hips. Your shins are parallel to the floor. Take your arms out to either side, palms facing down. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, slowly let your knees fall down towards the right hand side of your yoga mat. Stop when you're about halfway there. Good. As you inhale, squeeze back up to the center. I want you guys to really use your abdominals here. And as you exhale, allow your knees to drop towards the left, only about halfway. Can you connect to your abdominals the entire journey? Good. On your inhale breath, use your abdominals to come back to center. And as you exhale, let your knees fall towards the right-hand side. Now I want you to observe how much you're pushing down your hands into the floor. Can you keep your arms spacious, moving apart from one another? Exhaling to come back to center. Inhaling to take your knees, and you go in your own rhythm, you guys. Inhaling back up to the top. Exhaling back to the top. Inhaling to drop your knees to the side. And exhaling to squeeze back up to the top. So keep going, following the sound of your own breath, perhaps making your journey a little bit longer, as long as you stay connected the entire time. So you'll notice your brain will want to go somewhere else, maybe to a judgment. You stay present with the sensations that you are creating. So let's do one more on each side, right and left. Notice that little massage you get in your lower back, how it's starting to loosen some of those muscles as you activate your core. Good. Now you come back to your tabletop position. You check and make sure your knees are directly over your hips and that your shins are parallel to the floor. Good. Now from here, I want you guys to take your arms straight up to the ceiling, palms face one another. And then imagine that you were making a space underneath your back ribs, like you wanted to let a little ladybug crawl underneath your back ribs. So you have a little arch in your back. Now I want you to go ahead and press your back ribs down into the floor. Notice how your belly muscles engage, yeah? Okay, you're gonna keep your belly muscles strong. You're thinking of shortening the distance from the front of your pelvis to the front of your rib cage. On your inhale breath, you're going to keep a 90-degree angle in your right knee. Your right heel is going to magnetize down towards the floor. Stay in touch with your abdominals. As you exhale, use your abdominals to bring your right knee back up into tabletop. As you inhale, let your left heel drop down. Stay with your abdominals here. As you exhale, squeeze into your abdominals. Make your abdominals do the work to bring your knee back up to tabletop. Continue right and left, going any distance, and synchronizing the movement to the tempo of your breath. Staying connected to the muscles, and notice when you put your attention on them, how much more they're able to work. How much more you're able to engage them. Think about as you lift that knee back up, you contract your abdominals, soften your hip flexors, and imagine that your knee is moving through molasses. So let's do one more each side, right and left. Put your full attention into what you're doing. Beautiful. Returning to tabletop. Cross your right thigh over your left thigh. Once or twice, you can wrap that right ankle underneath the left. And then wrap your right arm underneath your left. And if this is difficult, you can just give yourself a hug, or you can place your hands behind your head. Okay? So, as you inhale, I want you to imagine your elbows and your knees magnetize away from one another, but keep your back ribs pressing down, so you feel the tension in your belly muscles. As you exhale, squeeze into that tension, lift your head and your shoulders, and try to touch your elbows and your knees together. Or just do a crunch. As you inhale, feel them magnetize away from one another. It's not just about going down, it's about feeling that stretch. And as you exhale, crunch back up. Do this 3 more times on your own, moving slowly. The slower you go, the more challenging it will be, and the more you'll be connected to what's happening internally. It's this deep attention that we give to ourselves that's actually what's nourishing about yoga. Follow your breath. Good, and then release your arms, release your legs, come back into tabletop, arms to the sky. Good, and then cross your left thigh bone over your right thigh bone. Wrap your left arm underneath your right arm. And then the same thing. Inhale, magnetize them away from one another. Yeah. And as you exhale, bring them in towards one another. Good. Follow your breath. Think about doing this movement entirely from the consciousness of your abdominal muscles. And once you've done 5, unravel your arms, unravel your legs, wrap your arms around your legs, give yourself a nice little snuggle, rock a little bit from side to side. Good, and then rock up and down the length of your spine as many times as feels good to you. Eventually make your way onto hands and knees. So we just did a bunch of abdominal work, so it might feel nice to do a few rounds of cat and cow, feeling your belly muscles engage as you come through cat, drawing your belly button in as much as you can towards your spine. And inhaling to feel that little bit of a stretch through your abdominal wall. Let your breath be your own teacher, your own leader. And all you have to do is keep paying attention to the breath and let the breath guide you. Good, so just take about 3 more rounds on your own, finding the sameness to the evenness, the sameness to the evenness to the inhale and the exhale, that they're the same. Good, and then step your hands about 2 or 3 inches forward, angle your index fingers towards the front corners of your yoga mat. Already start to hug your triceps in, so your arms are getting firm, and then tuck your toes under, hover your knees just a ½ inch above your yoga mat. Feel your belly muscles engage as the front of your ribcage and the front of your pelvis are connected to one another. And then imagine you could lengthen the whole bent situation back. So keeping your knees bent, lift your hips and just start to change the angle of your chest down towards the floor. So with your knees very bent, shift your hips back as much as you can. And then start to imagine you could lift the pelvis higher and higher and higher. It doesn't matter if your knees straighten. In fact, they don't need to. Start to press the top of the thigh bones back towards the wall behind you. And maybe the heels start to lower any amount, but they certainly don't have to touch the floor. So your first downward facing dog of the day, root down into the space between your thumb and your index finger. And find the root of every single finger and push it down, and then feel that the center of your palm kind of lifts up like there's a suctioning action from the center of your palm. Allow your head to magnetize down towards the floor so that your arms are in line with your ears. And soften through your inner upper shoulders, but get broader through your shoulder blades. So it feels as if your shoulder blades are trying to move towards your pinky fingers. As you actively press the top of the thigh bones back, keep lifting the pelvic floor up and keep spinning the inner thighs back so you have that feeling of awareness in your pelvic floor. Good, now slowly start to walk your hands back towards your feet. You're gonna bend your knees a lot. You're gonna bend your knees so much that your chest or your belly can lay right down on your thighs. And look down at your feet and notice if your inner arches are collapsing in. Try to have even weight through the inside and the outside of each foot, and even weight from left to the right. Good, so your belly's gonna stay connected to your thighs. You can start to think about straightening the legs, but not by forcing the kneecaps back, more so by lifting the hips up. But can you keep your belly and your thighs connected? Good, now reach your arms around behind your back or use your strap. Interlace your right finger on top of your left finger. Good. Squeeze your inner elbows towards one another and start to inhale as you send your heart forward, send your knuckles back. And as you exhale, fold down again and let your head magnetize down towards the floor. Let your knuckles lift a little bit more towards the ceiling so your shoulder heads move away from the floor. Your belly is still connected to your thighs, so your knees might be very, very bent here. Even still, you can think about continuing to feel with each breath the lifting of the sides of your hips. Good, and then release the interlace of your hands. Clasp your elbows in front of you, so you're creating a frame. Right hand, right elbow underneath the left elbow. And just let gravity pull you down towards the floor. Rock your weight a little bit more towards the balls of your feet so that you feel that there's a little bit of muscular energy in stabilizing your body. Good, reach your arms back again. Use your strap or interlace left thumb on top of the right. Draw the inner elbows together, and as you inhale, lengthen the arms back behind you. Let your heart reach forward. There you go. And as you exhale, fold back down, and as the top of your skull magnetizes towards the floor, think of opening your shoulders by lifting the knuckles up higher so that the shoulder heads are not sagging down towards the floor. Let gravity do the work here for you as you surrender. Good, and then release the interlace of your hands. Wrap your forearms, left hand on top or left forearm on top. And just let, again, one more time, gravity weights you down as you continue to spin those inner thighs back and you continue to keep that awareness in your pelvic floor. Good, release your elbows, place your hands down. Put a lot of energy in your legs, but start to walk your hands forward. So we're walking into downward facing dog, but we're trying to keep as much of our energy and weight back into our legs as we can. As you find that downward facing dog, imagine you could lift the underside of your forearms a little bit more away from the floor. Step your feet so that they are side by side to one another. And inhale your right leg straight back behind you. So you feel that the inseams of your legs are connected. There's your pelvic floor, right? So imagine you could lengthen your right leg. In fact, point your right toe and drag the outer left hip back. So you're feeling all of that energy, all of that work in getting long and aligning your body from your hands through your back leg. Good, now shift forward and step your foot to the outside of your right hand. Drop your left knee down to the mat. Good, now turn your right toes out 45 degrees. So they're facing the outer right, not quite the corner of your mat, but the corner of the room, right? Let your hips get heavy. And then start to walk your hands towards the left corner of your mat. So it's kind of like a variation on a lizard pose. There you go. Very nice job. Let that left front hip magnetize down towards the floor so you feel the stretch in your hip flexor. As you breathe, things change and evolve. So be present to the ever-shifting nature, not just of a yoga pose, but of everything. Good, and then slowly walk your hands back in. And you're going to heel toe your right foot towards the center of your mat and step your right hand so that it's on the opposite side of your right foot. Then walk your hands up to your right thigh. Straighten your arms to elongate your spine. Stack your rib cage right on top of your pelvis, so make sure you're not kind of collapsing that rib cage forward. Draw those front ribs back and in so you have that connection between your front pelvis and your rib cage. And then float your arms up to the sky. Catch a hold of your left wrist with your right hand. Give it a little pull as you inhale. And as you exhale, hold the midline of your body as you stretch towards the right. So notice how easy it is for the hips to want to shift off to the side, but you're using those inner thighs and the connection to your pelvic floor to hold that center line. Breathe. Good. Inhale your arms back up, release your wrist. And as you exhale, bring your hands down, shift your hips backwards. You might need to scoot your back knee back a little bit. You can always place blocks underneath your fingertips. You're still holding that midline with your inner thighs. If you have those blocks, pull them like you're trying to pull them backwards so that your sternum elongates. Top of your sternum reaches away from the bottom of your sternum. Look at your right toes. Say hello to them. They are full of life and energy, right? Yeah. Wake them up. Separate them from one another. They're all stretching for the sky. Great job. And then rebend your right knee. Tuck your back toes under. You can place a block to the inside of your right foot. Lift your left knee up off of the mat. And then slowly start to twist open. And as you twist, hold that midline. Imagine your torso elongating out of the left inner thigh. As your left lung turns to look down towards the floor, your right lung lifts up towards the sky. Get more spaciousness across your chest and more spaciousness across your back. Good, and then slowly revolve that right arm back down. Move your blocks aside, place your palms flat, and step back to top of a push-up plank pose. So this is a really good opportunity to feel when we spin those inner thighs towards the ceiling, how we start to develop more consciousness at the very base of our core, our pelvic floor. So if our core is a cylinder, the pelvic floor is the bottom of the cylinder. Elongate your top of your sternum forward, so your shoulder blades are trying to move down your back as you hug the sides of your waist up. Take one more inhale. And as you exhale, lift your hips up and back into downward facing dog. Your feet are side by side. Imagine you could push the front of your yoga mat into the front of the room. At the same time, imagine you could lift your front ribs up to elongate the back of your body. Good, now start to float your left leg up. And you're trying to hold that midline, right? Point your left toes, wrap your right hip in. Feel that left inner thigh spinning towards the ceiling so you stay connected to the pelvic floor. Good, and then slowly shift forward and step your left foot to the outside of your left hand. Drop your back knee down. Untuck your toes. Turn your left toes out 45-degree angle, so they're pointing off to the left front of your room. And then walk your hands towards the right. So you let your hips get heavy. Fill your body with your breath. It's like every shape we put ourselves in, we fully animate with our breath. Good, now slowly start to walk your hands back in. Heel toe your left foot towards the center of your mat, just so that you can take your left hand to the outside of your left foot, and then walk your hands up onto the top of your left thigh. Straighten your arms, and as you do so, make sure that left sitting bone isn't swinging out to the left. Wrap it underneath you. Oh my God, there's that pelvic floor again. Can you feel it? Might be a bit of a balancing act. Take your arms up to the sky. As you lift your arms up, draw the front ribs in so you maintain that connection between your rib cage and your pelvis. And then grab a hold of your right wrist, take an inhale. And as you exhale, side bend towards the left. Think of lifting your spine up and out of your pelvis. up and out. Both sides of the waist are extending up, and then finding that gentle curvature towards the left. Amazing, just breathe, just breathe. Good, release your wrist, inhale back up to the top. As you exhale, hands come down. You might scoot your back knee backwards a little bit, straighten through your left leg. Maybe you find your blocks again, very good idea. Yeah, so with your blocks, you can exaggerate pulling backwards so that your chest reaches forward. Look at your left toes. Are they full of vitality? Are they looking like they're just like full of energy and life? Flex them and separate them from one another. Notice if you're on that midline, think of both of your inner thighs hugging onto the skinniest little pencil line on the middle of your mat. You're animating this shape with your breath. Rebend your left knee. Take your block to the inside of your right foot. Lift your back knee up. Hug the midline with your inner thighs and then revolve open for your twist. So oftentimes when we take this twist, that right shoulder blade is going to start to creep up. Draw the right shoulder blade away from your right ear. Elongate your torso out of the inseam of your right leg and then churn your right rib cage down as your left lung lifts up towards the ceiling. Take one more breath. Good, and then slowly revolve it down. Move the blocks aside, place your palms flat, and step back to the top of a push-up again. So again, I want you to find your pelvic floor. Push your heels back against the imaginary wall behind you, but at the same time, feel both inner thighs lifting towards the sky. And feel how that engages subtly, right? It's not like we're feeling it like a crunch. How it engages the lowest part of your belly. Good, now pitch forward onto your tippy toes. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, your version of super slow motion, follow your breath, hug the elbows in, so you're lowering through 90-degree angles, belly lands on the floor. Once your belly lands on the floor, untuck your toes, spin your inner thighs up towards the ceiling, elongate both inseams of your legs towards the back of the mat. Make sure your pinky toenails stay connected to your yoga mat. Pull your hands backwards on the yoga mat, coil your upper spine up, drawing the lowest part of your belly in so that you can get that lift more through your upper spine. Gazing at your cheekbones, slowly release it back down. Good. Tuck your toes under. Lift your kneecaps up off of the mat. Engage your belly muscles like crazy. On your inhale breath, press back to the top of a push-up. You can always use your knees. And as you exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. Walk your feet forwards towards the front of your mat. Remember to practice being a witness. Notice when your mind is taking over. Once you land at the front of your mat, your feet are inner hips distance apart. So remember, it's like two fists between the highest part of your arches. As you inhale, lengthen your chest forward. And as you exhale, fold it in. Good, and as you inhale, circle your arms, reach up, gather everything that you could bring into this day. Tailbone is heavy. And as you exhale, bring your hands together in front of your heart. Samastiti. Can you feel the four corners of each foot pressing down into the floor? Can you feel your inner thighs spinning towards the back wall? What is the result in the lowest part of your belly? Feel your collarbones broadening, your chest widening, and your heart lifting as if you could lift it from the inside out. Good, release your hands down. As you reach your fingertips towards the floor, the four sides of your neck elongate, and your gaze steadies. Good, inhale, circle the arms, reach up to the sky, feel the sides of your waist get long. As you exhale, hinge from your hips, fold forward, long spine. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, root the palms, step back to the top of a push-up. Take a moment to really solidify your plank pose, inner thighs lifting towards the sky. Pitch forward on an inhale, drop your knees if you need to. Exhale, lower halfway down, pause for a second. Release the rest of the way down to the floor. Inhale, baby cobra. As you exhale, tuck your toes, lift the hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take 5 breaths here. I want you guys to move slowly. I want you guys to feel a sense of flow, a sense of rhythm, a sense of smoothness between your breath and your movement. Good. Step your left foot to the front of your mat. Step your right foot to follow. Feet land inner hips distance apart. As you inhale, lift your chest. As you exhale, fold it in. As you inhale, circle and rise. Lift through the sides of the waist. And as you exhale, hands to your heart. Again, inhale, circle your arms. Feel the sides of the waist as if your arms are extending out of the sides of your waist. As you exhale, long spine, move to the tempo of your breath. Inhale, draw the lowest part of your belly in as you reach your chest forward. And as you exhale, root your palms. If you have a favorite way, you always step your foot back, do the other, and pause in the top of a push-up. Take a moment to spin the inner thighs towards the ceiling. Pitch forward on your inhale. On your exhale, lower halfway down. Pause. Release your belly all the way down. Baby cobra, not last time, you can do baby cobra all day, but we'll move to up dog if you want next time. As you exhale, hips up and back, downward facing dog. How do you feel at the closing of the cycle? Are you peaceful? Are you harmonious? Are you witnessing everything that's occurring without having a reaction? Step your right foot forward, followed by your left. Land with your feet inner hips distance apart. Inhale, lift your chest as you spin the inner thighs towards the back wall. Exhale, fold it in. Inhale, circle your arms, rise up to the top. And exhale, hands to your heart. We're gonna flow now. Inhale, circle your arms, reach up. Exhale, hinge from your hips and fold. You just follow your own breath rhythm. Inhale, lift your chest, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, make your way back to plank, however you'd like to, following your breath. As you inhale, baby cobra or upward facing dog. If it's your first upward facing dog, pause for a moment, spin the eyes of your biceps forward and push the floor away. And as you return to downward facing dog, observe, how did that cycle go? You were just witnessing it. Sometimes we're not witnessing. Sometimes our brain is somewhere else. We want to witness the experience that we're having in this present moment right now. Good. So when you're ready, make your way through one more round of Surya Namaskar A. And we'll meet in downward facing dog. This is your opportunity to really listen into that inner teacher and ask yourself what it is that you need. Maybe you don't need more chaturangas. Maybe you need extra chaturangas if your body feels like it's a little bit more cold. Take care of yourself. Go through your last round. We learn how to deeply listen through our practice. As you come to that downward facing dog, it's an opportunity to observe the cycle. What did you witness? What were you zoning out during? It's kind of like when you're watching shows. Sometimes you're like, wait, what just happened? Because your brain went somewhere else. We want to practice focusing so much on ourselves, more than we want to practice focusing on shows. So at the end of your next breath, lift up high onto the balls of your feet, bend your knees, step, walk, or jump to the top of your mat. As you inhale, lift the chest, and as you exhale, fold back down. As you inhale, circle the arms, reach all the way up, and as you exhale, complete the cycle, hands to your heart. Good, now bend your knees a little bit. Cross your left thigh bone over your right thigh bone, coming into Garudasana, eagle pose. You might put your toes down, you might double wrap. If you double wrap, make sure you draw that outer left hip back, wrap your left arm underneath your right arm. Pull your forearms away from your face. Good, take an inhale, and as you exhale, you're gonna perch. You're gonna land your elbows on top of your knees. Breathe. Observe yourself, what's happening. Good, lift your elbows up a tiny bit. Unravel your arms, and you're gonna catch a hold of your left knee with your left hand, and you're gonna stand up and pull your left knee out towards the left. Right, nice pat, good. Pause there, pull it out towards the left. So it's out as if we were gonna extend it into Utthita Hasta, but we're doing this version. Charles, bring it to the left. So it's not crossed over. Yeah, it's externally rotated. There we go. That's it. Now bring it to the front. Align your two sitting bones so they're even, and take your arms up to the sky. Good. And now we're going to transition into crescent pose. So as you start to lunge your left leg back behind you, find a sense of grace, of flow. You've been in crescent pose before, so find your way there. Gorgeous, yes, so good. Imagine drawing your right heel back as you draw your left foot forward, so you activate your pelvic floor one more time. Catch a hold of your left wrist, elongate on an inhale. And as you exhale, hold that midline and stretch off towards the right-hand side. Breathe. Good, inhale both arms up to the top, release your wrist. As you exhale, fingertips come to the floor, step to the top of your mat. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, fold it in. Inhale, circle and rise. Exhale, hands to your heart. Good, release your hands, bend your knees a little bit. Cross your right leg over your left leg. Wrap your leg around if you want to, but if you do, make sure that outer right hip draws back towards the middle. Right arm wraps underneath the left. Separate your forearms away from your face so you feel broadening across your shoulder blades. Good. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, perch your elbows on top of your knee. Breathe. Imagine you could fill every single cell in your body with breath, with aliveness, with prana, even if you're wobbling. And if you're wobbling, what's coming up for you? Getting angry, getting frustrated, or can you just be with what is? It's just a yoga practice. It's just, the whole point is to see what is. Good, so lift your elbows a little bit. Start to unravel your arms. Bring your left or your right hand to your right knee and stand up, bringing your right knee out towards the right. Right. Then reach your left arm out towards the left. We didn't do that on the first side, but it's okay. So you're just feeling that the two are magnetizing away from one another. Good, now bring your right knee forward and at the same time bring your left arm up to the sky. Feel your sitting bones leveling out. Take your right arm up to the ceiling. Great, let's find that transition back to crescent pose. You take your pathway. How can you make this happen in a way that feels in integrity with your body, mind, and spirit? Good. Draw the left heel back, right toes as if you could squeeze your yoga mat together. Feel your pelvic floor engage. Catch a hold of your right wrist and your inhale, elongate. And as you exhale, side bend towards the left. Imagine you could pour breath through your right lung. Notice if your breath sped up or got more shallow. The yoga practice is to maintain the evenness and the steadiness of our breathing. Good, release your wrist, inhale back up to the top. Exhale, hands down, step your right foot forward. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold back down. Inhale, circle and rise up to the top. Exhale, hands to your heart. Remember how I said we were going to do some repetition? Bend your knees a tiny bit. Shift the weight onto your right. Cross your left thigh bone over. So when we do things a few times, we really get a chance to witness what our process is. Draw the outer left hip back, wrap the left arm underneath the right. You can always just give yourself a hug. Take an inhale. As you exhale, perch the elbows. Even if you're hugging yourself, that could work. Breathe. Good, now lift your elbows, cut a tiny bit off of your knees. Unravel your arms and either grab your left knee or hook your left big toe and take it up to Utthita Hasta, or just what we already did, right? Reach the right arm out to the right in opposite direction. As you bring that knee or that foot forward, take the right arm to the sky. Sitting bones even, take the left arm up. Maybe the left leg is straight. And then transition back into crescent pose. Find your way. Draw the feet towards one another. Catch a hold of your left wrist. Inhale. Exhale, side bend to the right. Are you side bending to the right or the left? Side bend away from your back leg. There you go. Good. Inhale, both arms straight up. Exhale, fingertips down. Step your left foot forward. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold it in. Inhale, circle and rise. Exhale, hands to your heart. Samastiti. Find that sense of equanimity. Bend your knees a tiny bit, shift your weight to your left, cross your right thigh bone over. You can always adjust where you put your foot. Draw that outer right hip back, wrap the right arm underneath the left. Take an inhale. As you exhale, elbows meet the knees, you perch. Think of your perspective from this perch. Good, now lift your elbows a little bit. Unravel your arms, either catch your big toe or catch your knee. Take your leg out to the side, take your left arm out to the left. Ooh. And it's a balancing act. Wherever your right leg is, wrap your right sitting bone under you. And then draw the right leg or knee forward as your left arm comes to the sky. Take your right arm up to the sky to match. Your leg is bent or straight. Good, and then slowly find your transition back into crescent pose. When you get there, find your pelvic floor. You know where it is by now. Catch your right wrist on an inhale, elongate. And on your exhale, side bend towards the left. Good, inhale, both arms up. Exhale, fingertips down, step your right foot forward to meet your left. As you inhale, lengthen the chest. As you exhale, fold it in. And as you inhale, circle your arms, reach up, pause here. As you exhale, keep your arms reaching, sit your hips down, Utkatasana chair pose. Draw those front ribs in a little bit as if you could corset them together. Stretch victoriously through your arms. Take an inhale. As you exhale, fold forward, straighten your legs. Inhale, lift your chest. Exhale, make your way back through a vinyasa. Imagine you could wash away all of that balance work. I was gonna do it 3 times, but there's more I wanna get to, so I had to adjust. Step your right foot to the front of your yoga mat, so your left foot on its edge. Warrior 2, cartwheel your arms open. As you exhale, imagine your fingertips elongating from one another. As you inhale, drop your left hand to the back of your left thigh, reverse your warrior. As you exhale, forearm to the thigh, top arm stretches over, Parsvottanasana. We're just gonna touch it. Inhale, reverse your warrior again. Stay deeply bent in your right knee, outer edge of your left foot pressing down. Exhale, cartwheel the hands down, Vinyasa. Take your time. Go at your own pace. From downward facing dog, step your left foot to the center. Seal your right foot on its edge. Cartwheel the arms open as you inhale. As you exhale, feel your arms elongating. Right collarbone grows wider. Inhale, reverse the warrior. Exhale, forearm to thigh. We're just gonna touch it. Reach the furthest point as you wrap your left ribs underneath you. Inhale, reverse again. Exhale, cartwheel down, Vinyasa, or not. Listen to the wisdom that's flowing through you with your breath as it explores all of the nooks and crannies and crevices, all of the places where tension could potentially be hiding, or stagnation could potentially be hiding. Take a moment to ground in downward facing dog. Feel your foundation. Lift up out of that foundation. So you're making this an active pose. You're not just like cool, zoning out in downward facing dog. You're expressing, you're animating. At the end of your next breath, bend your knees, look forward, step walk or jump the top of your mat. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold it in. Inhale, circle rise. Ooh, I should have said chair pose. Chair pose. Exhale, stand all the way up, hands to your heart. Again, bend the knees, circle the arms, Utkatasana, chair pose. Exhale, fold forward, straighten the legs. Inhale, heart reaches forward, inner thigh spin back. Exhale through your Vinyasa. Or skip it. Whatever you're doing, witness it with your full consciousness. Step your right foot forward, seal your left foot on its edge. Inhale, rise up, warrior two. Exhale, as you elongate the arms, solidify the center line. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, just gonna touch it, Parsvottanasana. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, cartwheel it down, Vinyasa. Wash it all away if you want. Left foot steps forward, right foot on its edge. Inhale, cartwheel up, Virata. Exhale, solidify Virata. Flip your left palm, inhale, reverse. Exhale, just gonna touch that long extended right side body. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, cartwheel it down, Vinyasa. Animate in your downward facing dog. Imagine you were just getting into this shape for the first time today with the intention of making everything as straight and as strong as you possibly can. As you push the front of your yoga mat towards the front, you lift the hips in an opposition. Bend your knees, look forward, step walker, jump to the top of your mat. As you inhale, lift the chest. Exhale, fold back down. Get it right this time. Bend your knees, circle your arms, Utkatasana, chair pose. And as you exhale, stand all the way up and bring your hands to your heart. We do that one more time, but we're gonna add on. So bend the knees, circle the arms, inhale. Exhale, fold forward, straighten the legs. Inhale, inner thighs draw back as the chest draws forward. Exhale, through your Vinyasa. Keep witnessing it. Every single morsel, like a delicious delicacy. It's only available in this moment, right here and right now. From your downward facing dog, step your right foot forward, seal your left foot on its edge. Inhale, reverse warrior. Warrior two. Solidify it on your exhale. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, forearm to the thigh, top arm stretches over. Good. Inhale, reverse. We change it here. Exhale, straighten your front leg. Good. Inhale, stretch the arms in opposition. Let the pelvis move back. Exhale, bring your hand down to a block or your shin or the floor for Trikonasana. So as you think about your right sitting bone hugging underneath you, angling towards the arch of your left foot, lean your upper back on an imaginary wall. You want to feel a long line from the center of your pelvis to the crown of your head. You're pressing strongly into the ball mound of your right foot and hugging your outer right shin in. Good. You can bring your left hand to your left hip if it's helpful. Bend your right knee. Move your block forward. If you want to make it more challenging, move it more to the front of your foot instead of the outside of your foot. That will make you have a little bit more of a tightrope that you're balancing on. And as you float up to Ardha Chandrasana, hug that right hip in and back towards the midline. Flex your left toes so they are alive. If you were to look at them, you'd be like, those are some alive toes. And then stretch your left arm up, and you're elongating everything in opposite directions. Full starfish. Good. Slowly start to bend your right knee. Reach your left leg way back behind you and slide your block back to the back of your ankle. Now full Parsvottanasana. Left arm stretches over your ear. Press into the outer edge of your left foot. Imagine that your left inner thigh muscle is lifting up to support your leg so that you create even more length through that left side body. Breathe. 5 more breaths here. Remember to move that right shoulder blade away from your ear. On your next inhale, allow it to carry you back up to warrior two. Straighten your front leg and parallel your feet. Bring your hands to your hips. Inhale, lift your chest, pull those frontal hip points up. And as you exhale, fold it forward. Bring your hands to the floor. Good. Inhale, lift your chest halfway up. And as you exhale, walk towards the front of your yoga mat. So you're coming into a runner's lunge. And then one more time, lift the right arm up to the sky. Allow it to twist open. Mary, press your left shoulder blade up into your right chest. Yes, good. And as you exhale, wash it away with a vinyasa or take it straight back to downward facing dog. Good. Step your left foot to the front of your mat, seal your right foot on its edge. Inhale, rise up, warrior two. Exhale, elongate your arms as you solidify that center line. Inhale, flip the left palm, reverse your warrior. Exhale, forearm to thigh, top arm stretches over. Good. Inhale, reverse your warrior again. This is where we change it. Straighten your front leg. Feel that current of energy traveling through your left leg. Now start to shift forward as you inhale, getting longer. And as you exhale, find your way to Trikonasana. So place the block. Now for me, I can see myself on the screen. I can see this big rainbow shape in the left side of my waist. So what I want to do is I want to try to create length, try to pull backwards on the block so I can extend that rib cage out longer. Left heel is trying to track towards the arch of your right foot. Lean your upper body back and draw a line from your pelvic floor all the way through the crown of your head. Make sure it's a long straight line, like your skull is being dragged forward. Hand to your hip if it's helpful. Bend your left knee, decide where you want to place your block. Outside is easier, more in front of your foot is more challenging. And as you float that right foot up, you're hugging that left hip in and back. So the hips actually don't stack, they're angled. The arms stack. And then you think about extending everything in opposite directions as much as you can. Good. You slowly start to bend that left knee. Reach your right leg way back behind you. Slide your block to the back of your ankle. Check and make sure you have heel to arch, and go for your big side angle. As you press the outer edge of your right foot, you reach your right fingertips. You curl your left ribs underneath you, and you witness what's happening. Is there a dullness? Is there an aliveness? Is there a sense of prana that you can find moving through your body as your prana, your breath, explores this shape? Next inhale carries you up to warrior two. Straighten your front leg, turn your feet so they're parallel, hands to your hips. Good. As you inhale, lift your chest. Use your shoulder blades to elevate your chest even more. And as you exhale, fold forward, hands to the floor, relax the crown of your head down. Legs are active, so the legs pull in towards one another. There's your pelvic floor again. Inhale, lift halfway up. As you exhale, walk your hands forward to the left, on either side of your left foot. Good, and then finally twist your left arm open for the final twist. Breathe. Good, and slowly release it down. Step back. If you want one last vinyasa, take that one last vinyasa right now. Good, and then shift forward into plank pose. Lower down onto your forearms for forearm plank. And then start to walk your toes in towards your elbows for dolphin. So as you find dolphin pose, you're going to press your shoulder blades into the front of your body and create more space between your shoulders and your ears. Walk your feet back into plank pose. So that was our inversion of the day. And lower your legs and your belly down for Sphinx. As you come into Sphinx, imagine you could pull your yoga mat backwards with your elbows, and you use that action to create a strength or an uprightness to your shoulder blades, that then you can lift your sternum up and over. Good. And then slowly release it down. Roll over onto your back. As you come onto your back, place your feet in line with your sitting bones. Grab the outer edges of your yoga mat. Imagine you could rip your yoga mat in half. Try to rip your yoga mat in half. And then as you elongate your tailbone towards the backs of your knees, also slide your knees forward, which they won't really move, but you imagine that that's happening. Good. Now with your hands still ripping the mat apart, walk your feet in so that they're side by side. As you spin your inner thighs down, you feel a lot of energy in that midline. Bring your right knee in towards your chest, and then point your right leg straight up towards the ceiling. Energize your right toes. Spread them out. Make them excited. Good. Bend your right knee back in towards your chest. Place your right foot down right next to your left. Re-stretch your mat apart. Pull it, pull it, pull it. And then curl your left knee in towards your chest, and extend your left leg up. Flex the ball of your foot so that you have a Barbie foot, so that the ball of your foot is reaching towards the ceiling. The toes are separated. Good. Slowly lower your left leg back down. Place it right next to your right. Lift the hips a tiny bit higher as you squeeze the inner knees towards one another. Ooh, and as you exhale, release it back down. Notice what that was for you. Let's take one more back bend. Whether you want to take bridge or urdhva or any other back bend you want is up to you. You want to take bridge. Separate your feet so they're in line with your frontal hip points again. You can also opt for a block underneath your sacrum. Lift your hips up. As you do, slide your knees forward. Think of the inner thighs spinning down. Find your pelvic floor. If you want to walk your arms underneath you this time for bridge, sometimes that can help to create a little bit more lift through your thoracic spine. So use your shoulder blades to press your chest towards your chin. Keep the energy of the inner thighs spinning down. What do you observe as your witness? Good. Slowly release and let your spine roll down, vertebrae by vertebrae by vertebrae. Good. Cross your right ankle over your knee. Use your right hand to press your right knee forward. So you already feel find the stretch, most of us, just because it's subtle. That's what we want to learn to pay attention to. And then keeping that right knee out, draw your left knee in. Thread the needle. So I often notice when I'm in something like thread the needle, which should be very easy, a lot of clenching. Like I feel like my hands are clenching. I feel like there's tension in my arms and my shoulders. The only place I really want you guys to have any tension is in your right ankle. I want your right foot flexed towards your toes, towards your shin. Good. Now put your left foot back down on the floor. Keep the ankle crossed over the knee. Extend your arms to either side. And allow your right sole of your foot to fall down towards the left side of your mat. Keep your right shoulder blade heavy on the floor. If you want even more, take your left hand and push your right knee away from you again. So every class we take, we are on somewhat of a journey, right? Like we go through a physical ordeal. There are certain aspects that are challenging, or a mental ordeal. Maybe we want it to be more challenging, or it's too challenging, or we want to give up. Go ahead and bring it back to the center. Cross your opposite ankle over your knee. Hug it in for thread the needle. Remember, the only thing that has tension is the left ankle. Everything else is surrendering. If you wanted to, I didn't do this on this side, you can put your right foot down, press your left knee out, and then come into it. Breathe, just be soft. Good, and then release your right foot back down to the mat. Take your arms out to the sides and let your left foot land towards the right side of your mat. Keep that left shoulder blade nice and heavy. I think the point is about that whole journey and, emotional and mental and physical experience that we have is that it comes to an end, right? Like it changes. Eventually we come to Shavasana where we can just be. And it's a metaphor. After all of the ordeals and circumstances that we go through in life, we come home to our inner self, to our spirit. And we can just be, because in your spirit, nothing is ever really threatened. So bring it back to the center. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Rock and roll yourself up and down the length of your spine. Eventually come to a seated, forward, legs extended, Dandasana. Hands are by the sides of your hips. Use your hands pressing down into the floor to find more length and integrity to your spine. Yeah, good. Inner thighs spin down towards the floor. Feel that connection to your pelvic floor. Lift the arms up. Imagine you were imprinting your inner thighs into your yoga mat. Hold on to that and then elongate. You feel your pelvis revolve over your thigh. You're not just bending your back. Any amount. It might just be very subtle, and then place your hands somewhere where you can work with it. Somewhere where you can witness. the subtle movement, the subtle shifting and changing of this last forward fold. Good, and then walk your hands back in, rise back up. Either lie down on your back for Shavasana or come to a seated position for a seated meditation. So you choose, it's your Monday, whatever it is that you need. If you need to put a blanket on your body to keep yourself warm, if it's comforting for you to rest your hands on your body. So the most subtle type of witnessing happens here. It's not like we're looking for anything. We're practicing pulling that lens back. We're maintaining a level of consciousness, but it's called theta. So it's like that space right before you fall asleep. So let's all just take a big breath in together. Fill your body with your breath. And as you exhale, make an audible sound as you release. And just think of releasing everything. And when you've actually released everything, what remains? We learn to be friends with the silence and the stillness. We learn to know that it's a tool, something that we can use in moments of anxiety or moments of overwhelm. We can create that stillness and that silence. We're still evolving to discover the depth and the richness of as we practice yoga. So whatever it is that you touched on or immersed in your Shavasana, make a commitment to hold on to a little tiny piece of that as you move through your day. Start to wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, any movements that you need to bring life, prana, energy, awareness back into your body to reintegrate body, mind, and spirit. As you're ready, hug your knees to your chest, roll over to your side, and press yourself to a seated position if you were not meditating already. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. And bow down to that inner witness, that non-judgmental experiencer of life, experiencer of the present moment, that part of us that we're often not living from, right? So just thank that witness for being here for this last hour. Slowly allow your eyes to open. Namaste.